Good afternoon and welcome to The Rundown. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 29th of July. Donald Trump is now openly defying the Supreme Court. Georgia's governor withdraws emergency request to stop Atlanta's mask mandate. Trump making illegal secret payments, including to his own family. Mystery seeds from China are landing in Americans' mailboxes. Cowboys for Trump defend go back to Africa comments. And Florida man who bought a $320,000 Lamborghini with coronavirus relief funds is charged with fraud. Let's get to the news. The Trump administration announced on Tuesday that it will continue to defy a federal court order compelling the full restoration of DACA, the Obama-era program that allowed 700,000 immigrants to live and work in the United States legally. By doing so, the administration has chosen to flaunt a direction by the Supreme Court, effectively rejecting the judicial authority to what the law is. Donald Trump first attempted to rescind the deferred action for childhood arrival programs back in September of 2017, a move that would have stripped its beneficiaries of work permits and subject them to deportation. But his administration continuously cut corners, failing to explain the basis for its decision and refusing to consider the impact of DACA repealed on immigrants and their communities, their employers, as well as including the U.S. Army. This June, the Supreme Court ruled that the administration's actions were abruptly capricious under federal law and therefore set aside DACA repeal. Here's when I like to just give my brief commentary on the stories for this afternoon. So the first one dealing with Trump defying the Supreme Court. In this defiance, Donald Trump has been trying to dismantle DACA since he walked into office, but has been unsuccessful. The language in which his argument, or his team of lawyers, their argument wasn't good enough for the federal court, so they kept knocking it. So he finally took it to the Supreme Court, which he thought that when he stacked it with conservative judges as Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, that he would, have a leg up and be able to pass a lot of things that he wanted to pass through the federal courts that wouldn't pass. He figured he'll take it to the Supreme Court. However, unfortunately for him, he took it to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court denied him as well, basically saying that him getting rid of the DACA program was unconstitutional. So therefore, unfortunately, he would still have to stick with it. But he is now denying the Supreme Court and trying to go over their head to dismantle DACA once again. How can you go over the highest court of the land? I don't know. So this will be interesting to watch, and it also shows his disrespect for the rule of law and even the Supreme Court. So I wonder how they're going to take this. And being that this is a tumultuous election year, he might want to be careful because they may hold the fate of his presidency in their hands come November. So good luck with that. Georgia's Mayor Brian Kemp on Tuesday withdrew his emergency request for a court to stop enforcement of Atlanta's requirement that face masks be worn in all public places. While meditating over the state's legal efforts to block the mandated procedure, Brian Kemp sued Atlanta's mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and the city 2 weeks ago to stop the enforcement of the local mandate amidst at slowing down the spread of the coronavirus. The governor argued that the city lacked the authority to override his order, encouraging but not requiring face coverings. In a statement, the Republican governor's office said that the motion was withdrawn to continue productive and good faith negotiations with the city officials and prepare for a future hearing on the merits of our legal position. Mayor Bottoms, a Democrat, said that she would continue to defy the governor's orders, but hoped that the two sides could find a solution. Okay, so let's get into this story. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia. Yeah, right. Anyway, so Governor Brian Kemp on Tuesday withdrew his emergency request for the courts to stop the enforcement of Atlanta's requirement for face masks wearing in public places. Basically, he was trying to block Atlanta's mayor from putting out the mandate for the face covering or the mask wearing. He said it was more like he should suggest that you wear a mask, but not mandate it. He's taking that back. Question is why? Because he still hasn't recanted his lawsuit against the mayor of Atlanta. However, he pulled that back. And the question again for me would be why? And the only thing I can think of is financially. A lot of businesses and movie productions happen in Atlanta, and I'm sure that a lot of these directors, from the Tyler Perrys to the big name studios, were like, hey, if you continue on with this, we'll just take our money and production elsewhere. And the state of Georgia, as well as the city of Atlanta, gets plenty of their money from the productions that they do have in Atlanta, from the movie sets to the reality TV shows, so on and so forth. So the state of Georgia gets a lot of revenue from these particular things, and I'm sure that phone was ringing like, brother, if you don't fix something, we're gonna roll. And yeah, he had to change his tune. But again, he hasn't changed on the lawsuit against the mayor, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Because at the end of the day, he felt like she did not have the authority to override his decision, but she is the mayor of her city, so she can put out an executive order for her city. That is her right as the governing body of the city of Atlanta. Now, I don't know. We'll see how the courts decide on this, if he even goes through with the court filing that he did, but we'll see. President Donald Trump's campaign is violating federal election laws by funneling close to $250 million to date through private companies in order to hide the ultimate receipts of money, including the wife of one of his sons and the girlfriend of another, a watchdog group charged in a complaint filed on Tuesday. The money is being laundered through corporations run by top Trump campaign officials. Lawyers with the Campaign Legal Center, the group that sent the complaint with the Federal Elections Commission, asked for an investigation to put an end to the practice and pushing the campaign with fines. According to the complaint, both Trump's re-election campaign and a related fundraising group, the Trump Make America Great Again Committee, are breaking federal campaign laws by running payments through former Trump campaign manager Brad Parcells' private firm, as well as America Made Media Consultants, a company created especially to place ads and buy related services for the campaign. Parcells' companies have already received $39 million from the Trump campaign. The Republican National Committee and their joint fundraising committee, according to the Huffington Post Analytics. Okay, now here we go, talking about corruption at its finest. So the swamp cleaner himself is basically made another swamp hole. So the Trump administration, as far as the Trump campaign for re-election, the Republican National Committee and a consultant company have made over $177.6 million. Think about that swamp, right? So here we have it. The President Donald Trump, who has constantly always violating some sort of federal law, has once again violated the federal election law by money laundering more than $250 million. And you say, how could he do such a thing, right? Of course, how could he do such a thing? Well, he's able to do these things because there's no checks and balances on his power. People pretty much let him do what he wants. The Senate doesn't complain, and when the House does, the Senate is always there to block it. So he really can do what he wants and get away with it. It's perfectly fine. He has a company called the Trump Make America Great Again Committee, which have broken federal campaign laws by making payments to Trump's manager, his former campaign manager, Brad Pascal, through his private firm as the American Made Media Consultant. Now, through this company, his company alone has already made almost $40 million from the Trump campaign, as well as a girlfriend of Donald Trump Jr. She makes $180,000 a year, and also the other son, Eric, his wife, also makes a good chunk of change from this. Now, Brad Pascal himself, he's made tons of money from the Trump campaign. From the 2006 campaign alone, his firm was paid $93.9 million. Okay, to his newfound wealth, this man was able to, let me backtrack. 2 years ago, before he joined the Trump campaign, he was a web designer for the Trump properties, okay? Let that sink in. You went from a web designer for Trump properties, probably barely making money, to getting paid $93 million, okay, for helping him in the 2016 campaign. So then with your newly found wealth, 2 years ago, you went to buy a 2.4 waterfront house in Fort Lauderdale. You have $2 million condos, a brand new $400,000 boat, and a $500,000 in luxury cars. Talk about cleaning up the swamp, right? Right. The USDA and agricultural officials in multiple states have issued warnings about unsolicited shipments of foreign seeds and advised people not to plant them. The USDA is aware of people across the country having received suspicious, unsolicited packages of seeds that appear to be coming from China. The USDA Animal and Plant Health Inspection Services said that in a statement on Tuesday that it is working closely with federal and state partners, including Customs and Border Protection, to investigate. In Kentucky, the state agricultural department was notified that several residents received unsolicited seed packages sent by mail that appeared to have originated in China. Agriculture Commissioner said earlier that the type of seeds are unknown and could be harmful, stressing that they should not be planted. Everyone in Kentucky received the package of foreign or unfamiliar seeds should contact the state's agricultural department immediately. Residents in at least 8 states have now received suspicious packages of seeds that appear to have originated from China, with officials in each urging people not to plant them, according to the reports. The APHIS said that the USDA is collecting seed packages from people who receive them and will test the contents to see if they contain anything that could be of concern to the U.S. agricultural and environment. This story is a bit on the side of worry and caution, just because basically the story is that there have been seeds sent out to a lot of American farmers, and the seeds have come from China. There's no labeling on them whatsoever. They don't know what kind of seeds they are, and the USDA is a bit cautious and wants anybody who receives these seeds, any farmers who receive these seeds, to report them so they can be tested to find out what kind of seeds they are, if they are something chemical or poisonous. Like I said, they've been going out to many farmers, and it's causing a sense of alarm. There are many types of wars we fight daily. They're more than just the physical wars with people actually with boots on the ground and people actually fighting in wars. There are wars that we're fighting cyberly. There are wars we're fighting agriculturally. There are trade wars, of course, with this beautiful president always wanting to create one. But we're always in some sort of battle, and this would be one of the most devastating ones, being that we are in a time where we are quite vulnerable due to the lack of urgency that this administration showed upon the outbreak of this coronavirus, otherwise known as COVID-19. So we are a bit vulnerable to attacks of any kind. So with the seeds being spread around, who knows if this was an attack by some Chinese loyalists to get us while we're down. Don't know, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. So I urge any farmers that are listening, or anybody who has family members who do farm, to be aware that there are some seeds going around being mailed to people, not to plant them, but to report them to your local agricultural department so they can confiscate them and they can be studied. We are, right now, the United States still has the greatest amount of food supply. So in tackling that would be a danger to the United States. So it's always good to err on the side of caution. The founder of the Cowboys for Trump political support group urged people who support performances of the Black National Anthem at football games to go back to Africa, and condemned as vile scum the people who portray the Confederate flag as racist in a live Facebook video that has been since removed. The selfie video of Ordon County's commissioner was recorded Sunday on Facebook and watched by at least 2,200 people before it was removed by the Cowboys for Trump website. In a 35-minute speech, Griffin, on themes of God, faith, politics, country, and taking place on a mountaintop in southern New Mexico, where Griffin says that he fasted for at least 3 days as contemplated the nation's political fate as November election approaches. This article, of course, it's quite disturbing, but it just shows the level of disgusting racism that is blatantly out in the open, thanks to this president and his ability to be brusque and forthcoming with his feelings, showing that as a sign of strength to some, I guess. Personally, I just think it's a sign of weakness. To definitely always run your mouth is definitely a sign of weakness. To actually be quiet about a lot of things that you think about and feel definitely shows a sign of strength and restraint, which this president does not. But anyway, enough about him. We're talking about the founder of the Cowboys for Trump political support group. Basically, in a nutshell, they said that any performers who anybody who performs the Black National Anthem at football games to go back to Africa. Let's be very clear. I know a lot of people, especially white people, you've been so ingrained in your own history that you've really don't care about anybody else's. But the truth of the matter is, we did not come here voluntarily. At least the majority of us did not come here voluntarily. Of course, there were some of us already here way before the first slave ship came full of cargo, i.e. human beings. Get that. But anyway, we did not come here of our own free will. We were brought here as cargo. Okay, so the mantra of go back to Africa, there was no Africa to go back to because you stole us from that particular land. Now, if we want to talk about going back somewhere, and I know a lot of you Cowboys like to think that you guys, was born and bred on this here soil, but no, how about you wind up going back to Europe where you came from? It's funny, it kills me when they always talk about some go back somewhere, and it's like, you do their history or you do their research and they are European, and it's like, okay, well, why don't you go back to where you came from? Because 9 times out of 10, a lot of our ancestors were already here before the first ship of anybody who feel they discovered this place were already here. So, where are we going to go back to? The owner of a Florida moving company was arrested Monday and charged with using coronavirus relief funds to purchase a personal item, including a $320,000 Lamborghini. David Hines, age 29, was charged with fraudulently obtaining a $3.9 million loan under the Paycheck Protection Program, which Congress passed to help small business owners pay employees and rent due to economic setbacks from the coronavirus pandemic. A criminal complaint filed by the federal court in Miami says that Hines claimed he had 70 employees at 4 different companies and paid more than $4 million in payroll each month. Hines applied for a $13.5 million in loans overall, including a affidavit from Brian Marcel, the U.S. Postal Inspector. Hines lied about his company payroll needs and used the loan proceeds to purchase the sports car, a vacation, jewelry, and clothes. Bank statements show that Hines made several cash withdrawals just under $10,000. Alright, so this story was pretty interesting. It was interesting for two things. One, this man actually used the coronavirus relief funds to buy a Lamborghini. Okay, that's first. He asked for what did he ask for? $13.5 million. He got $3.9 million, okay, in the loan under the Paycheck Protection Program, which was to help small business owners pay employees, pay rent for facilities due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, what I learned about this particular story, which I said the two things that I did learn about this was dumb, okay, and then, of course, him being the dumb, David Hines. But I mean, I guess if you can milk the system, I mean, if the president can do it, why not you, right? But more than that the government actually monitors what you spend the money on that they give you in those kinds of things. So, which even brings to my attention, I wonder, even when you're filing your taxes and you get a refund back, do they monitor that as well? Because they surely monitored the money this guy was spending. That I was like, oh, well, do they really do that? I thought, they give it to you and, that's it. They just give it to you. And then they ask for it back on the flip side, and you just make sure you got to come up with that money. But the fact that they monitored all of his spending and noticed that the spending that he was doing was not going to his business that he claimed he had, which he did not have, this moving business and all these 70 employees with 4 different companies. And he paid more than $4 million a month in payroll. Come to find out, he did not. And he was able to obtain all that money. So it's quite interesting how, and I mean, he bought stuff. He bought, of course, that fancy sports car, vacation, jewelry, clothes. He was withdrawing several cash withdrawals under $10,000. He wrote several checks, including a $30,000 check to his mother, possibly, because he wrote on the referral part of the check where you write the note, it says mom. So that's something else. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't specify whether this person was a person of color or white. It just says Florida man. So don't really know. But we can kind of take a guess that if he was flagged, he may not have been one of them. He may not have been a jar of mayonnaise. He may have actually been someone of color. If so, it's unfortunate. Sometimes if you do get away with stuff, sometimes you just gotta lay it low. You don't go flashing or being a flash in the pants, because you wind up getting caught. And that's probably just what happened here. So who knows? But that's unfortunate. Sometimes, when you think you're getting over, you don't really get over. You wind up paying more in the back end. And now if he did have some sort of business, it's definitely underwater now, because he has all this money and things to pay back. And being that he bought jewelry and sports cars and things, I guess you could put two and two together and say it wasn't a jar of mayonnaise. Unfortunately, it may have been one of us. Now, had you taken that money and done something with it, break some ground on some things instead of buying a Lamborghini and things of that nature, you probably would still have your funds, because they do it all the time. So I don't know. But that's unfortunate. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Have a great one. And once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.